when you operate from a space of abundance and that you don't think that, you know, if Brian makes 100 million, I can't make 100 million. Brian can make 200 million, I can make 200 million, and we'll both be fine with each other, right?
Yep.
And I think that what we're talking about is people who are functioning at a low level of consciousness. Welcome to Start With The Facts. Yeah, welcome back to Start With The Facts, business edition. I can see myself on camera and I got on a cool white shirt for a business episode.
Look real smooth, bro.
You got an undershirt on under that?
Nah, this. Hey, look, I was like, this is like Black Jesus, baby. Hey, when a black person got a white shirt on, you gotta listen to them.
You gotta listen to them. They got something to say, huh?
I got something to say. No, we're just joking. But if this is your first time joining us, excuse me, we do a business episode every week. Myself and my business partner, Brian Inkrot. On this show, he's called Brian Inkrot, but on the other show, he's called Parlay Jenkins. He's the he's our resident cool white guy, and none other than the degenerate next to me, Mr. Will Fairbanks.
That's crazy. We in the house, baby. We in the house. Hey, you see what it is? Michigan, baby.
Listen to me. He still got on his flimsy Michigan hat.
That's crazy.
Nah, but on Wednesday, what we do is we give advice, we give discussion, and we talk about things that we do in business. Myself and Brian are in business together. We own a bunch of medical practices throughout the state of Ohio, and there's other things that we're embarking on doing. And so we talk about mistakes, lessons learned, things that we go through on a daily basis. We respond to things in the comments, and we allow Will to come and ask questions that either he may have or other people may have. And as we go on, we may develop the conversation. We may talk about the business of sports. We may talk about the business of everything, but essentially it's a platform and a space for us to add value to the listeners and have them get a chance to know who we are and know our points of view on different things that we've had. So with that being said, I'll let Brian, Will, y'all can kick it off. And we don't really have a format to this, but, you know, Will, do you want to start it off with a question you may have?
Yeah, man. So let's start this episode off with dream killers. First and foremost, what are they? And then how does one deal with it? How does one combat it? You know, because we all, especially in pursuit of greatness, we come across them whether they're in our circle or not. So just tell us a little bit about like your perspective on them and how you deal with them in your pursuit to greatness.
So when you say dream killers, I think of two things. I think of picking up the phone and calling somebody and maybe telling them about an idea.
Yeah.
And I have a visual of some people, you know, probably in my circle that tend to every idea respond with, you know, negatively too. Right. That's a dream killer to me.
True.
And then I also think a dream killer is sometimes reality, where you get something down a path and you just come to the realization that this probably isn't going to work. And so to me, that's another form of a dream killer, but I think you got to get to that part on your own. The circle thing, you know, who you pick up the phone and call. I just remember 5-6 years ago when I had this idea with medical practices, you know, saying it out loud to people. And, you know, there's a lot of people that were like, you know, that's probably not a good idea. And they rattle off maybe 100 reasons why it wouldn't work. I'm glad, you know, we stuck through it and figured out how to do it. But I just think it's so important to have like cheerleaders in your camp, you know, that inspire you and motivate you and push you to get to the point where you could still end up with a dream killer, an idea that doesn't work, but at least you vetted it and figured that out on your own. And I also think it's okay to ask people who, you know, might ask some really good, thoughtful, critical questions. I think it's important to have those people in your camp, but I don't know, can you guys, like you yourself, Maurice, can you picture people that when you call ideas about or changes that you'd like to make, maybe it's in our business and the first response is no, and what that's like?
Yeah, so when I think about it, when he said dream killers to me, the first thing I thought about was just like people you would talk to about an idea and they just wouldn't have a response. And so that's as real, like you not having a response is just like you being negative about a response, because if you're excited about it, you would be able to share what you're excited about, or somebody would help you to unpack the idea or to tell you how it could work, or the things or the people that you need to do to unpack it. And so I've ran across a bunch of people like that. And I think the dream killing part could come from you interpreting their lack of engagement and whatever energy that they're emulating to you as like, hey, this thing isn't a good idea because I can't get this person excited about it, and I need to not pursue it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
But when you talk about how do you deal with them, Will, that comes back to just you. And I think people give up on things that they've not put time into. You know, so if you've not put a bunch of time into either researching, figuring out facts that may make the idea work, or you haven't done your research on how you're going to get money out of the thing, it's easy for you to give up that way. And I think that, like, you couldn't tell me right now, Brian, something that you've put an abnormal amount of time into that has not worked out for you.
Yeah, correct. Yes.
And I think that's what basically stops people from getting their dreams killed. Your commitment to whatever it is you're researching. But then also, I think the wiser you get, you start to realize that as you have those conversations with people, the people who are really dream killers are the people who aren't really doing anything with their lives, right? Because if you go to somebody who's an idea person or who's built something and you share your idea with them, somebody who's built something or somebody who's struggled with building something, those people can typically tell you how to complete the process of building the proverbial house that you're trying to build.
Got you.
And their feedback is going to come in the form of questions.
Yes, correct.
Know, what would be your initial investment into something like this? What would you say is the risk? What's the greatest downside risk that could happen if this thing doesn't work? What's the biggest upsize? What's the market size? You know, how many employees do you need? What's the profit margin? They're going to ask really good, thoughtful questions.
Yes.
Those are great. It's the vague. Why hadn't anybody thought about that before? If this is such a great idea, why isn't everybody doing it? That's my personal favorite.
Yeah, that's a condescending. It's really condescending when people talk like that.
Yeah, and I just think you can be friends with whoever you want, but you got to be very careful about who you present your dreams and aspirations to, because I'd hate to have something that I thought was a great idea, and I probably ran it by the wrong one or two people that kind of moved me down a different path because maybe mentally I wasn't strong enough to follow through with it. I just caution everybody, just be super careful, you know, who you share your dreams and aspirations with. Thoughtful questions are good, or great, actually. You need them, but you want to share it with people that are going to motivate and support you to continue down the path.
But I think where people, I don't want to say where they go wrong, because it's the natural step. You'll share with people who you consider friends. And really, friends are people who you have like a good social circle with, right? You have some commonalities. You like watching the same things on TV. You may have went to school together, proximity to neighborhoods or whatever, right? But people who you build business with and build ideas with are totally different. You know what I'm saying? Those are just two different sets of people, two different sets of mentalities, two different sets of priorities. And oftentimes you're friends with the friends that you are based on financial circumstances, right? And the moment that you figure something else out that takes you out of that bucket or out of that, let's say out of that financial field, you'll get a new group of friends, right? And you'll be friends with them because y'all have the same money, same interests, same vacation spots. You'll see the world the same. So a lot of times the people that you're talking to, they aren't really motivated to either encourage you to get past them. And sometimes these ways of not encouraging you becomes like this, like them not encouraging you kind of shows you how they feel about you in an abnormal way, if that makes sense.
And it shows how they feel about themselves, you know, because like, I think that you say it all the time, like show me the people that you're around.
Show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. And it's just like, yo, they're a mirror of who you are. Like, that's how I see my people. Like, the people that I'm close to, like, I see myself in them and what they're doing. So it just hit me as you were talking about it. I'm like, yo, when people are talking and they're bringing you down, they're talking to themselves and they're wanting you to stay where they're at, wherever they are in life.
Yes.
Let me ask you, Will. You're at the earlier stages of building, something. What's a dream killer to you, or what has been maybe in the past?
I think for me, it's essentially what y'all have been talking about. I think that I've told ideas to people around me, and I don't mind them questioning it, but a lot of time it's the tone, it's the condensation in it. You're not really believing in what I'm talking about. You really don't believe what'll happen. One specific I remember in college, because we've talked about it, I've been pursuing this for over a decade now. And I remember talking to my homies like, yo, we about to do this. Cause this energy that I have of like, yo, we about to take over. You know what I'm saying? Dominion, multiplication, like, let's go get it, has been in me for a while. And I remember I would share it with my homies. And, you know, I remember particularly one was like, man, everybody's doing that. Right. And I'm like, bro, no one's doing it if we're talking about percentages wise, because I was just talking about like, let's start our own thing. It was in the pocket of like entertainment, like let's just build a brand and go crazy and do whatever we want under it. And he was like, man, everybody's doing that. And it was interesting because we were in college at the time, and I'm like, bro, no, everybody, if we're talking about numbers, everybody's going to college. They're getting a floor one job, and they are chasing the idea of success. And it was just that was one particular incident. But like, you know, just coming up where I come from, you know, I've always had to be particular, and I learned that early of who do I tell my dreams to and who do I tell my goals to, because if I wasn't careful, you know, and it's not really their fault. You know, it's perspective. It's how they were raised. It's how they were poured into. Right. It's how they were brought up. But it's like, nah, like it's the exact same thing. And I learned that because I used to get frustrated. I'm like, nigga, what you mean? Like, of course, you're telling me that I'm less than the dream that I have. You're telling me that I'm not capable of attaining everything that God has placed on my heart. But then after time, it's like, all right, grace and humility has shown me like it's not necessarily their perspective.
Yeah.
But I digress. You know, I've protected myself since, you know.
I think there is some human nature in this. I don't know how it's going to sound, you know, on camera, but I think there's human nature, and I do think friends generally want the best for you. They want what's best for you, but just don't pass me.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of truth in that. I think your great friends, the people who don't view the world that way, I think those are the ones you got to hang on to as long as you can and do everything you can to also support them. But we've talked about this before. I think it's human nature for friends and maybe family, but that they will root for you. They will want you to do well up until you get real close to where they're at, or potentially moving beyond that. And then I think the jealousy starts to kick in.
No, but because people become your friend for various reasons, right? And what ends up happening is like you evolve and develop into something else. And sometimes other people don't evolve and develop into anything else. And they become more frustrated with that than you. And you've committed, you stayed true to your goals. This dream that you had, you actually stuck it through. And I really have dreams, I really have aspirations, but I've not done anything to commit myself, sacrifice time, invest, or take a chance. And that's really what it really is. And oftentimes we understand that people aren't on the same level when you're going through school, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, even in college. But that same thing for some people who want to continue to build, they still want to continue to build those stages where they're graduating other levels of life. And I think that's what happens with most people. Those are the people that we're talking about, dream killers. And so you start talking to your social circle out of familiarity, and the next thing you know is like, man, these people aren't my fan club. But then you get to a space where I'm at. I've done so many things and have success and failure that the moment I decide to do something, I don't care what anybody else thinks. Because you like what you're talking about is like the beginning phases of it. That's what I was telling you. When you start to go to people, then you start to realize that everybody doesn't want to be special. And when I say special, it's not to be critical of anybody, but there's very few people who want to keep on pushing outside of like where they've graduated to. Like, you know, some people have a vague belief of like, hey man, I want to, you know, grow up one day, live in a nice neighborhood, take care of myself, take care of my bills. And I do dream of doing all these other things, but I don't want to take the path with all the resistance and the rest
required.
Yes, correct.
To get there.
Yes. And so that's what really happens. And then when you start to do that, you're basically saying like, yo, I still believe that I have more out of life to get. I'm like, the reason that God is inspiring you because there's more potential inside of you. And what you're saying is that I want to pursue it. And what I found out is that, back to the thing what Brian just said, people will root for you and they'll talk to you just for banter. But it's very few occasions that people that you know who are next to you will help you get there. And I think that's the true measure of anybody who you should be around. Are these people assisting you and helping you get to where you want to go? But vice versa, do you support them? If they came to you with an idea, do you help them to get solutions and resources and help them to figure out their problems?
So I'm gonna kick that back to you. Do you find yourself? I mean, you've always been entrepreneur, business for self.
Yeah.
I'll answer it for myself. And I want to ask you the same question. When I was, say, part of a large organization and I didn't see the world the way I see it today, I was probably less willing to be, outwardly supportive of certain things because my blinders were on and I was solely focused on me, let's say the team I was on, the company I was working for, whatever it was. I find myself now, when somebody has the courage to do something, a guy in my hometown started renting out like inflatable
Bounce houses.
Bounce houses.
Yeah.
Man, I followed his page. I was liking it all the time. I just had so much respect for him stepping out of what I assume was a comfort zone to do something different or unique. People who, maybe start podcasting or they start a window washing business or whatever it is, a water restoration business. I go out of my way to support them in public, support them on LinkedIn, share their stories on Instagram, shoot a motivating text to, just because I think it's important for people to push themselves down that path, but they need support.
Facts.
I didn't always view the world that way.
Yeah.
But I do now, and it is something I think about daily, trying to appreciate what others are doing and help them along.
Yeah. So one, I do that without a shadow of a doubt. I think I actually help more people with that, but I take it a step further. But I believe in the law of compensation. I believe like as you help people solve problems, as you help people to figure out things that they're perplexed with, I think that everything you put into the earth or everything you put into the universe, I think is repaid to you when you're trying to figure something out. So, if the nature of what you're doing is complex and I help Brian and assist Brian to accomplish that thing, I think the universe repays me. So when there's something that I struggle with, like I'll be sent someone to assist me during my path. And I think that that's just operating at a different level of consciousness where when you operate from a space of abundance and that you don't think that, if Brian makes 100 million, I can't make 100 million. Brian can make 200 million. I can make 200 million and we'll both be fine with each other. Right.
Yep.
And I think that what we're talking about is people who are functioning at a low level of consciousness, right? When you don't want to help to assist and give people information and help them prosper, that's really, really rooted like a selfish way of thinking. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
And when you're planting seeds that bring prosperity to somebody's life and it helps their family and it helps them to figure out life and make life easier on them, I just think that God in the universe says, okay, if I give you information, you're going to do right by it. If I give you resources, you're going to do right by it. And that's why your path is lit, and that's why things come across your plate. But I think there's just a selfish group of people who can only see us a me versus you mentality, or your success is my failure, or I don't want to give you this piece of information that may have you unlock something in your life, not knowing that you giving that to them, they don't owe you anything, but the universe will give you back what it is that you need to advance. And I read a lot of books I've read a lot of books on consciousness. And the more I read this stuff and the more I've read this stuff, I just understand that constantly picking yourself up to a space of love and giving. Once I start operating from that space, like everything comes to me. When I was selfish and more rooted in myself, I just always had blocks. But when you can just give, you always get, if that makes any sense.
You open yourself up to those blessings.
Yes.
So, do you have something to say real quick?
Nope.
Okay, so we're basically at the time, but I do want to say, you said that you read a lot of books about consciousness. Let's give our viewers, a floor to start at. Like, what are some good books for both of you guys? Give me one or two that people should start off or people should check out. We want to start with you? All right, Brian.
Yeah, go ahead. I don't know if this fits the description, but I love The Energy Bus. I think I read that it was the right book at the right time for where I was in life, and it talks a lot about who you want to be in different situations, and are you an energy vampire kind of sucking the life out of every room, or are you somebody that sees tries to see the positive in everything? I remember when I read that, I was like, man, it hit hard, and that was a good one for me.
No, but he had a great series of books. And John Gordon.
Yes.
Yeah. So anybody who's, I tell you, I know him.
No.
Yeah, I know.
Did I tell you? I know. We call him JJ.
Nah. His name is John Gordon. He actually has a bunch of books. Like I could fucking go on and on about all the books that he has. You know that book was out 7 years before it finally hit?
No.
Yes.
So when did he, how old is it? Or when did he write it, roughly?
Fuck. It hit probably, you have to be talking somewhere around 2019, 2020, 2021, 18, that time frame when you read it.
Oh, I probably read it, I think earlier than that, like 2016 maybe?
Well, I may have the dates
15,
wrong.
16, something like that?
But because I used to see him on a speaking tour.
Okay.
And he was like, yo, I wrote this book years ago, but it took like 7 years and it finally hit. But when you talk about persistence and doing the right thing and so on and so forth, that's somebody I'm pretty sure I can get him to talk to us in some capacity, but somebody who kept on, what they say, chop wood, carry water.
Yep,
You know what I'm saying? Somebody who's just been going along the path and, 7 years, would you keep on writing books if you've never had a fucking hit? You know what I'm saying? But now, he fucking probably get paid $100,000 to speak and sell millions of books and all this other shit. I go back to my favorite too. Power versus Force is a foundation that helped to separate my mind with understanding the mechanics of thoughts and then transcending levels of consciousness. And that was letting me know how certain viewpoints on life was, how your consciousness has a scale and a score. And you can hear how people talk, how they behave, the things that they identify with, the people that they want in their lives, the material possessions that they have, and just their perspective on life. It all matches up with different scales of consciousness. And it talks about how you can, the ultimate scale of consciousness is getting to a place of love and enlightenment and giving and being free and understanding that you're just passing resources through. And as you give, you'll always get. But if you stay like in this selfish, shameful, angry, like self-oriented space, you'll always get into this place of blocks. Like you'll block yourself from being able to receive anything from anybody. So Power versus Force by Dr. David Hawkins and Transcending Levels of Consciousness were things that I was referencing.
Okay. Those are
he's been consistent with that since the day I met him. For 5 years. Those principles, the thought process, the eliminating, distracting negative thoughts and dealing with the power of positivity. That's not something that like just came once he found more success. Like that was,
I think it's the foundation of
15 years ago or so for
Brian,
you.
I promise you, I think it's the foundation of, I think when you operate from, I have to give, and I'm not about to sit here and say I don't fall into that way of thinking at times, right? But the more giving I am, or just like yesterday when we were talking about a deal and I said, yo, this is the right thing to do.
Yep.
So me and Brian were talking about a deal yesterday and I had like some conflict about something and I could see where my personal egotistical brain was at. And then I had another brain with like, I know inherently what's the right thing to do. And you can have that thought inside you and keep it and do the selfish thing. But the idea you're working on will never get past a certain point because it's rooted in selfish doings. And when something is rooted in freedom and prosperity for everybody who contributes to it, it will grow. And that's life. And so that's it. That's one thing that we've exercised yesterday.
Love it. I agree. I recommend, as somebody in it, where my camera, to people that are listening, like all these books are great. I just picked up all 3 of those. It is interesting, the Dr. Hawkins joint, like how like it's one of them things where you can understand it, but I appreciate how it explains it and frames it up so like you understand the power in it. So all good books to check out. That's our time. Like I think we at 23 minutes.
Yeah.
We did good, man.
We did good. Good job, Will.
Hey, before I go, they said in the book all the time, you build everything twice, once in your mind and once in the physical. And so just know that everything is built twice. Whether you build to destroy, you destroy people in your mind first, then you do it in the presence. Or if you build something in the positive, you think about it in a positive way first and then you act out on it. So everybody has a choice. So when people do stupid shit in their life, they've thought about it before they've done it. That's what I'm saying. So we'll check y'all out next week on Wednesday. Remember, always trust a black man in a white shirt.
Yeah, man, you look like you about to go baptize somebody.
I look like Jesus, man.
Oh, that's funny.
Here we go.